Hey guys, it's Size. Today we're going to be going through a plus 20 Algathor Academy for you. I'll be putting up some relevant information on the screen for you now, but I will also be popping in throughout the dungeon just to point out some tips and tricks on each boss. But without further ado, let's hop into the dungeon. So, as you can see, I was running the Adler Cthulhu and Adler Yogg-Saron build. A lot of people have been playing Cthulhu or Yosharaj. I do think Cthulhu just is a lot better in this dungeon in general, just as you gain the extra bit of insanity generation, and on those big AoE pulls that we have been doing, the Mindseer Tentacle does actually do significant damage as well, and it just felt nicer to play with. You can also argue that I should have been playing Dark Ascension over Void Eruption, but personally, I just think Void Eruption is more comfortable, I enjoy it more, and I'm more than prepared to give up that tiny little percentage of damage just to make sure that I'm enjoying these larger pulls, and I'm actually getting use out of Void Bolt as well, to extend those dots. But you play whatever's best for you, play whatever's comfortable, or play whatever does the most damage. Completely your choice. But I went with Void Eruption. With that, I'm not going to do too much voiceover commentary during the trash for this dungeon, unless there's something important that I want to go over. But I do really want to hop in at the bosses and just give you some tips and tricks on how to handle the bosses as Shadow. So with that guys, I'll shut up and I'll see you when we get into the boss. So, the Overgrown Ancient, it's become kind of the staple boss for Shadow Priests, especially in the Shadow Priest Discord. People enjoy showing off screenshots of the damage meters, how much damage they're putting out on the ads, and it's very funny because at the end of this dungeon, chances are most of your damage are going to be from the ads on this boss. So, just to get into it, it has consistent AoE damage throughout the fight, it allows us to funnel amazing numbers onto the boss and do good AoE. So, first of all, what I'll suggest you do is, as you're running after the first set of ads spawn, you're going to want to PI yourself if available. You're going to want to try and save up a Mind Devourer proc, so you know you can get into the swing of the AoE pretty quickly, and you want to be fully stacked on your Insanity. So as the second set of ads spawn, your Shadow Crash is going to land, and there'll be 8 targets with full dots on. This is amazing now since we're playing Psychic Link, and any Mind Blast that you do to try and generate damage and to try and generate those Mind Devourer stacks means that it's going to actually damage the ads. You're not just Mind Blasting the boss, it's affecting the ads as well, which is insane cleave. On top of that, I did play Void Eruption for this fight, so it was a big chunk of AoE damage as well. You know, it wasn't insignificant. The opener damage does a lot of decent damage, and Void Bolt just extends the dots as normal. So once you've got into it and you've used your Mind Seers, you want to go back into the single target rotation on the boss, and you want to try and have your Shadow Crash available for every single set of ads. It might be a few seconds off, but the higher key level that you go, the longer the ads are going to live for anyway. Once you have killed the tender, let's say somebody wasn't stacked properly and it's a pug group, there's not much communication going on, you can actually life grip people into the healing circle as well as it dies. And when you don't have your next set of cooldowns available, feel free to send Halo into the ads. It does a lot of damage. Just one last little thing, one tip for everyone, not even Shadow Priest. You can use a potion called Potion of Shock and Disclosure. It surrounds you in a field of static for 30 seconds that deals a lot of damage every 5 seconds. The nice thing about this potion is that it's not target capped, so you can use it on the ads and they're guaranteed to melt, and you're guaranteed to get 2 sets of ads in those 30 seconds. So you're getting 2 sets of ads and the potion's being used throughout. It's free damage. I've been using it on trash in this dungeon as well on the big pulls, not just on the bosses, but that's completely up to you. With that guys, we're going to head over to the next boss, and I'll see you when we get there.
Battles we can't win. Can't you see the mess we're in? Choking up on every sin. Your promises don't mean a thing. And when I'm waiting all alone, I need you to take me home. Promises like broken bones, I've been holding on to you. And when I'm waiting all alone, I need you to take me home. Promises like broken bones,
So, coming up to Crawth, it's a very movement heavy fight, and Shadow doesn't excel on these fights unless you're talented into Dark Ascension, Mind Spike, Void Torrent, and we will be taking all three of these 100% of the time come the next patch, 10.5. I did, however, use Void Eruption in this fight and Mind Spike, so this means I was able to do some decent single target damage in comparison to other builds. But first of all, you don't want to send the orbs straight away. A lot of groups, especially pug groups, will send the fire orbs as soon as they spawn. It's completely up to your group as a whole, but some groups don't. So it might be an idea to maybe use cooldowns on the pull if you know they're going to be up for the damage phase. But if you're not sure how quickly your group are going to send the orbs, maybe wait for the damage phase first, because it is a lot of damage, but you will also lose out on damage by not sending them at the start. It's a bit of a give and take. You're going to have to find what works best for your group. I sent them on the pull on this fight. Completely fine with that as well, because I still had some decent damage in terms of Mindbender coming into the damage phase, which was completely a-okay with me. I was proccing Twist of Fate by healing and shielding myself when I dipped below the threshold. But again, all these things are very situational. I do prefer saving them for the boss's damage phase, because the boss does take increased damage, and you can use a feather macro to put feathers right below your feet, which I'll put in the description down below, just to make sure you're dodging all avoidable AoE, because when you get to a certain key level, especially on Tyrannical, it will one-shot you. It really will. So, even the Screech, when you're sending it on 3-4 stacks, it's doing upwards of 75% of your health, which again on Tyrannical will one-shot you. So make sure if you are reaching the 4th and you see the healer struggling a bit, maybe just pop Dispersion, just keep yourself healthy to make sure you're not going to wipe on this fight. In addition to this, if your group decides to actually do the wind phase, depends on your damage, you do want to make sure that you're picking up the little white orbs that spawn around the room with the arrow above them. It gives you increased haste and it stops you being knocked about. Using this combined with your cooldowns, whether you've got Twist of Fate, Mindbender, Void Eruption, Dark Ascension, it's going to be a huge amount of damage and you'll just see yourself fly up the meters. So make sure you're picking up those little orbs as soon as you go into this wind phase, just as shown on the video. But with that guys, that's all I've got for Crawth. Let's move on to the next one. So coming up now, we've got Vexamus. Again, it's a theme with this dungeon. It's a rather movement heavy encounter where you have to dodge pulls on the floor, you have to move out with debuffs, and because of this, you want to be sending your cooldowns on the pull, because this is where you have the most free time to actually stand. You can channel and cast freely for a decent bit of time, providing you don't get the debuff. So, in addition to this, you should be talented into Improved Master Spell, as you can actually Master Spell every single soak of the orbs, providing everybody's in melee and stacked tightly. Because of this, you might want to take the extra steps just to communicate with your team, just to let them know that, hey, you can completely negate this ability by moving in and Master Spell on everybody. Your healer will love you for this. It's just like the last boss in Templar of the Jade Serpent. Shadow Priests get taken purely for that utility on that fight. The debuffs that you move out with do hurt a little bit, so try and make sure that you're using your Vampiric Embrace at this time, and you're saving your Mind Spike procs, Instant Mind Blasts, your Devouring Plagues, just to help the healer out a little bit, just to make sure nobody gets sniped, as they're being dispelled and the pool's dropping. But with that, guys, there's not much to this fight. It's pretty much tank and spank. The only little niche things that we can do is that Master Spell, as I mentioned. So as long as you get that down, you should be okay. So let's move on to Darogsoa. So, coming up to Echo of Darogsoa. Being the last boss in the dungeon, it's most probably the easiest in terms of mechanics. There isn't a lot to do. You want to make sure you're maintaining your debuff at 2 stacks for as long as possible to maintain the damage buff increase from it. If you go to 3 stacks, you lose the damage buff and you spawn a pool underneath your feet that radiates orbs. Coming into contact with these orbs, or being targeted by an ability or standing in the Dragon Breath, gives you a stack of the aforementioned debuff, which will net you a damage increase overall. Min-maxing this debuff is probably the most you can do in this fight as a priest. Utility wise, you can grip out people in your party that have low mobility after this dragon, just to make sure they're not going to get sniped. You can also use Master Spell to dispel the debuff when people are moved out unsafe. And you can also use a Feathers macro, which I'll put in the description of the video, to make sure you don't get hit by the dragon or any of the orbs that are coming out, because the orbs can come out quite quickly and they're not guaranteed to spawn from the same place. You want to be sending your cooldowns whenever they line up with Bloodlust, and you will do just fine. But with that, guys, make sure to check out the Warcraftlogs link in the description below to see the damage output yourself. You get to see where the damage was, what abilities did what damage. You know, at the start of the dungeon I also linked my Raider IO, so you can see the enchants, the gear, all of that is available for you for the remainder of this dungeon. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe if you like this style of video. I can put more out, I've done plenty of 20s. And with that, guys, that's all I've got for you today. I really appreciate all the support. I'm coming up to 1k subs, like probably I'm going to get it tonight as I upload this video. And I cannot thank you guys enough. It's such a big milestone for me, especially since my content is purely just Shadow Priest. You know, a lot of people have told me that they've started playing the class because of it, and I love it. I love hearing it, guys. So please, any questions, drop them down below. Make sure to follow my Twitch. It'll be in the description as well. Twitch.tv/Gauss, by the way. And for some random reason, I've also made a Twitter. I don't know, I'll probably use it to complain about Shadow and do constructive criticism, as well as probably putting up when I go live, just because not everybody gets the notifications, right? But guys, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you all. I want you to take care and enjoy the rest of your night. Take care, guys.